Hello, everybody. Hope everyone can hear me really well. Here we go. We're back after a week. It's been a week already. Yeah. Everyone loves this. I can play it as we talk. There we go. It's a nice tune. I'm gonna tune it down a little bit. Anyways, yeah, it's been a crazy week on my end as well, and actually I'm gonna turn it off because it's distracting. But we're back. We're back to what we do, every week, and I want to get this done today, guys, for real. I want to get this finished. It's literally just few small things that that have to be done here, and I just gonna wrap it up. And for whatever, if there's anything that I'll maybe later want to fix, then we can come back to this. But damn, like I'm just tired of it. I want to do like few other projects on this stream, and this is already taking a lot of time. I've been doing this for a while now, so I'm gonna focus on the ceiling right here. I think overall detail is fine. Again, we could go in forever and do a lot of fixes, and probably the booth could need some work. But yeah, fuck it. I want to work on something else. This have been with me for longest time. In the meantime, as usual, I will obviously look at the questions and try to answer them all. And please, if there is any issue with streaming, if there is audio issue or anything like that, let me know. I'm here alone today, so I don't have to keep tabs on everything. So anyways, so I started doing a little bit of research in the meantime. Right before the stream, I wanted to find some good references, because what I want to do is you can see, like, right now it's very rough, but I need to fill out the space between the roof and then the ceiling itself. So like the gap that's right here, there should be something going on here, and normally it's like cables and ducts and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna rely heavily on references, and I was trying to look into collapsed ceilings and see if I can find anything interesting. And found a few, not that many. It's really difficult to find good reference of that, because usually when something collapses, it's a very risky thing to get into a building that for which, like, the roof collapsed. I don't think anyone want to do that and risk their life just to snap a photo that maybe one concept artist in a couple of years will find useful for the one concept. I don't think it's a risk worth a while. But so I was looking, and you can find like this stuff. This one is, by the way, like really low res. I think this one was. I was looking at this one, and it felt very useful because of only this fragment right here. So the way I'm looking at it is I'm finding this small fragment that is going to add that little detail that I'm after. Sort of like this, almost like a little destruction. There's a gap here. So I want to fill it out, and I want to fill it out in a way that it feels like it's very detailed and realistic. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. And that's what I would do if I would be making this concept for a video game. Speaking of video games, I think there was, from what I've read recently, there were some kind of awards, yearly awards, and apparently Uncharted 4 swept everything. Just they took everything. So that's great. Kudos to my old friends from Naughty Dog, and congrats, buddies. Well done. I'm pretty happy about that because the game is awesome. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's fucking awesome. All right, so I'm just changing color here. Probably gonna make this a little less saturated too. By the way, that that elevator music, I'm really thinking to keep it. Like, you know, when we start, and usually it starts very awkward. Why not? Why not some little tasty waiting music as everything gets prepared and we know then we're live. So looks like Momo is live. Hey Momo. Nice to see you too. Oh, and thanks for everybody who resubscribed to the channel. That's super thankful and much appreciated, guys. Thanks for being part of this. Let me do something real quick. I cannot show you my screen as I'm doing this because I might expose some unnecessary information, which we wouldn't want to do. So, one thing I need to do here as well is, sorry for a hiccup, guys. Just want to make sure everything is working and prepared and whatnot. So we don't have any more hiccups. All right, I think that should be it. There we go. Let's hide the image. We should keep going. All right. There we go. Everything is working. I was really tempted to do something ungodly and make you guys annoyed and basically fuck up the whole stream, which would be return a favor and talk about elections. How about that? But I'm not gonna do this. I actually had to turn off my Facebook because of this. Like, I was just basically unsubscribing from everyone because it was just unreal. Let me type something quick. Yeah. One thing I've learned really fast is people only read headlines, nothing else. Just headlines. Headlines is the news, not even looking at the sources. And I looked at one of the headlines and I looked at the source and looked at the website, and that the only thing that came to my mind was this. Just saying, guys. Yeah, it's interesting to see how oblivious people are to normal stuff, to research and everything. And as a lesson, take this stream as a lesson, because here I'm pretty much teaching you that. Actually, Momo is gonna join us. Give me a second. Momo's gonna join us and make this whole thing easier. There we go.
Actually, Momo's gonna join us.
All right, I'm here.
Second. Momo's gonna join us and make.
Momo, you have to mute on your end.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, awesome. Because I could hear myself. It's actually kind of.
There's strange. A delay. It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange to hear my voice distorted by actual reality.
It's fine.
I sound like an idiot. Anyways, how you been, dude? How
Good,
have
good.
you been?
Things have been good. Yeah, I guess just busy with the Twitch thing, trying to see how we can sort of make use of it, getting set up with Twitch and some of the guys. John has been doing some every evening, pretty much 6 p.m. PST. He's been just helping people out to have them set up Twitch on their laptop so they can start streaming.
Shit. John is a good soul, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. um wait, what I was talking about? I see I'm getting older. It's having kids and getting older. That's what's going on here. I'm basically losing my mind and memory as we go. I was talking about something and I was talking about it like a couple of minutes ago and completely forgot what the fuck I was even talking about. Oh, I know what I was talking about. I was talking about elections. No, I wasn't. I was threatening the chat that I'm going to talk about elections. Which I don't want to do. Trust me. I don't want to even let's close this topic right here and right now. Please, just for the love of God though. I mean, learn to read. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Learn to read and check your sources. It's just so funny, man, so funny. Anyways, someone asked in the very beginning. Let me scroll up. Someone said, "Have you seen Ghost in the Shell shelling sequence for 2017 film?" Yes, I did, and I know who did majority of work for it too. And I've seen it, and I liked it. There are a few things, obviously, that I don't like, but that's my very, very, very personal taste involved in it. In the things that I didn't like, I think the moment where this milky sort of surface starts to peel off, I think that went a little bit too fast, and it looked kind of weird. But otherwise looks good. Yeah, and by the way, keep asking questions if you guys want to. I'm here, and I'm pretty sure Momo is gonna look at.
Yeah, I'm following the chat.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, there we go. I'm just basically scouting through more references. I really want to get that done, and get it over with. Because I mean, fuck, we've been doing this forever. I don't wanna. I want to do something like in Fusion 360 next, maybe, or start doing some 3D stuff, or maybe do some Showtime stuff. I don't know. Maybe some drawing, but basically something different than your regular photobash experience. This is
I'm
kind of
totally
boring
for
too.
Fusion.
You're for Fusion? Maybe I should
Oh
get
yeah, totally.
maybe I should contact with because we're really good friends with the guys who are basically developing Fusion 360. We had Curtis Chan actually, who's the evangelist for the software, a couple of times on the stream. Maybe I'm just gonna hit him up because I know he's down to join anytime, and I'm thinking I'm gonna do that next. Maybe next week I'll call him up and say, "Hey, dude, let's stream
People
together."
are saying Showtime in Fusion 360, and I'm totally for that as well.
That's never gonna. I wouldn't say never, but I don't know. I don't know what I would. Maybe I could do like a weapon design in Fusion 360 for one of those girls, you know, like pick apart and start designing in Fusion 360. That would make sense. Or like a building facade. But that would be like bashing it together with some photos later on. So that's something to consider. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we should do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
think Showtime. I think a lot of people would be happy to see you do some Showtime and definitely sharing more techniques like with Fusion or whatever else, because you're good on the technical side. So anything you can share would, I think anyone would be happy.
Yeah, I think doing Showtime would be.
Yep.
Yeah. I might do it. Dude, so many of you guys, and I really appreciate that. I've been asking about Showtime and like, how is it going? I know I said it before many times, like, oh, I'm gonna do a comic book or something like that. I want to work on it, but it's just like I really have to slow down with my life a little bit. I'm just overworked, and I'm missing a lot of time that I could spend actually doing Showtime. So first, I need to clean up my plate. I'm just doing too much work, basically, which pays the bills, by the way, which is probably more important than passion projects if it pays the bills. All right. Let's see. Seeing churches here for some reason.
Joe is asking, do you go out and take some of your references yourself?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do.
Okay.
It's just like right now uh, there's so much stuff out there already that it's almost like if I would take references myself, it would be occasionally when I'm out there and doing something else already, you know? So it's like a
Yeah.
byproduct of just being outside. So that's definitely a thing. What I wanted to really start doing recently also would be photogrammetry, basically. So, but I don't know. I have to do so much research about how that shit works because I have like zero clue whatsoever how to how to get those things done. And I'm probably gonna talk with Jama because I think he'd done it already, or maybe talk with people that already have an experience with it. Because I think there's a lot of opportunities there with that stuff, especially for texturing and whatnot. I've been researching recently or looking into what people do, and like I found like landscape drone photogrammetry, which is like kind of insane that you have like a really realistic. I mean, it's realistic to a point. Like if you zoom in, obviously it starts to fall apart, but like zoomed out, it looks like a photo, obviously, and it's 3D, so you can. It's almost like a semi matte painting. Like you could take that basically, and then just overpaint and do matte painting projections on top of that, and
Hmm.
you're done, dude. Like it's gonna look super realistic. So that's something I'm looking into personally right now. See how this could be useful. Again, like my biggest problem, and that's maybe something I could talk about a little bit too, is just finding time and doing like maybe like a sabbatical or something, you know, where I can basically just not think about work anymore and do something else. I'm getting close to that thing, by the way. Getting close to a moment where I might just have one or two things going on which are really comfortable for me, and then I'll be able to do a little more of like research work, and because I really enjoy doing that. Like I really enjoy learning and researching and finding new solutions, new software,
Yeah.
things like that, because it just like opens up your mind to so many things, man. I mean, look at Ash. Fuck. I mean, he did that non video, right? Oh, by the way, you should go and check Lost Boy. It's fucking amazing. If you haven't yet, then shame on you. Literally, shame on you.
I'm posting the link.
Um, I'm super happy
Can you,
for him.
okay. Can you talk about like you're saying time is really hard for you to like you're so busy that you're having a hard time like finding, a moment to actually do, learn and explore and experiment. What's your daily rituals like these days? Like can you sort of describe a regular day, like at work, you know?
So I work from home. So this is obviously making things much easier. If I would have to go to the studio, I'd fucking want to kill myself probably at this point. I actually do go to the studio once a week, um, but it's close by. So right now I am helping out Riot Games, doing some work for them, and also doing some work with ILM. So that's two jobs.
Wow.
There's
Nice,
also
nice.
like sort of like a um, daily routine with the Learn Squared, obviously. So running a business means you have to attend meetings, you have to talk with your partners, you have to do the all the work that is required and necessary. There's so many things that are related to it. It's hard to grasp. It's hard to actually explain because there are just millions of really tiny things, like things that you normally like. We can do it later. The problem is, yeah, you can do it later, but there's like millions of other things that are also tiny things, and they collectively become this humongous, this monstrous task, right? So you have to deal with that. Uh, Thankfully, I have Ash and Andrew as my partners in crime, so we're doing this all together, which is much easier. If I would want to run a company myself, I would probably not do it. It's too hard. It's you have to become a businessman, marketer, like everything all at once, unless you hire and pay people, which is then you become HR. Unless you hire HR, then you have to make a lot of money in order to sustain a company like that, you know?
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it's working. Then there's also family, school, uh, art cafes time to time. I'm actually doing last one with Tim Flattery. He's former chair of Art Center. He used to be
Okay.
a chair for entertainment design, I believe. Really old school, experienced veteran. Uh, probably probably half of Art Center artists that like really good ones, have been his students. So he's just an absolute badass from the past. Can I put it this way? He's working on all the films that are out there. He's been in the film industry forever. So it's gonna be interesting to talk with him.
Yeah, I'm
Daily,
sharing the link.
yeah, daily routines are are difficult, because one thing that is kind of throwing a wrench to planning everything perfectly is having a family, and that can become a difficult task because when there's family involved, there's a lot of random events that are going to happen throughout a week that's just basically going to destroy your whole planning. But for the planning itself, one thing you really want to do is um, probably you want to start with like actually scheduling your work. So I today, or like from pretty much last couple of months, I almost live by a calendar. I have a calendar that is synced to my email. So anytime someone wants to have me on a meeting, I'm asking them to send me a meeting invite, and I want to make sure if and I actually added to my calendar myself as well, just in case, because half of the people forget to send the invites. Um, and I just basically live by the calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't exist in my life, which is kind of sad.
Okay.
Just like the saddest thing that can happen. Um, but it is what it is, and I'm not complaining because I basically put myself in that situation where I just have a lot of work, and I shouldn't really it's not like I'm complaining about it. It's more like I just need to slow down because I've been doing this for way too long, like having too much work and always kind of like scrambling and fuck. I would really want to do something something new and cool, but I really don't have time for it. So, oh, and last thing I'm doing, which I haven't mentioned, is I'm also apprentice for Jorge's class. Uh, I'm right now on lesson 4, so that's gonna be pretty cool because the things I'm learning from his class, I'm already adapting to work and adapting to my personal work as well. And one of the most impressive parts about what I've learned from that class so far is the philosophy that he's talking about, and some principles that he's talking about in animation, which makes me think and realize and analyze animations themselves in a very different way. Makes me think about when I'm trying to animate, and maybe because I want to create next year, I want to create like a something similar that Ash created, but not in a totally different vibe. Like a short film done completely in 3D.
Mhm.
And the things I'm learning from his class, from Jorge's JR Cast motion design classes, how he approaches animation and how he approaches motion design, and that informs me a little bit on like, oh, maybe something of that matter could be added to my camera movements, or the way things are animated, the way things are moving. This kind of opens your mind and makes you appreciate and look at animation in a very different way. There's a few animations that I've been seeing recently that were like, they are good, but when I looked at them, this was something's not right. Like I cannot put my finger on it. Like when you watch a movie or show or animation or something like that, and you feel like, yeah, it looks good, but there's just, I don't know, like something's not, it's not there, right? But you don't really know what it is, right? And I've been watching one of those animations recently, and I was like, I know exactly what's wrong with it. Like right after
Wow.
seeing the lessons, and it's like, all right, I can completely understand why it's not working for me, because all the animations are super linear. There is no
Mhm.
anticipation. There is no weight. There's no like small,
Yeah.
minute details that normally you don't pay attention to because you're not even aware that those things exist. Or you may be aware, you maybe heard it, but you never connect the dots.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
That's go ahead.
no. Keep going.
I was just gonna say I think that's my struggle and a lot of other people where you are a creative, so you sort of develop a very sensitive intuition and gut feeling, but you don't have full control on it because you're still practicing your techniques and all
Yeah.
of that. And I think what I'm really pushing forward now is understanding techniques and developing a process to sort of switch the balance between the gut feeling to actual knowledge and understanding that will help me have a better control on how I react or like creatively to these things. So let's say you get a brief, you develop something, something's off, but unless, like you said, you've actually learned or someone showed you or taught you where the actual problems are and what are the principles behind those, it's very hard. And yeah, I don't know if you can share a little bit about, I mean, you're talking about Jorge's class right now, but how, do you have advice? People are asking in the chat, like, do you have advice for situations like that? How do you go about developing a habit or figuring out a solution to facilitate that transition between gut feeling to actual knowledge and understanding?
So what I've learned, and I would highly encourage people to pick up a book called um, Mastery by Robert Greene. I've been talking about this book many times. Ash been mentioning this book many times. I'm almost done with it, and I'm super glad I've started reading it, because it's one of those things where it talks exactly about what we were talking about here, which is everything you're talking about, saying like the gut feeling and how now understanding what it really is all of it is it's a mastery. It's like becoming, it's creating or learning things and then mastering them, right? And the thing is with almost everything in life, things are always connected together. Why? Like, for instance, I was talking with Scott Robertson about this, and with many people already, and also on here on Twitch and on Art Cafe. That my belief is that it's much easier to become an illustrator than a designer, and the reason is simple. Illustration, although it has its own set of difficulties, that there's good illustrators and bad illustrators, and it's not an easy to become I'm not saying it's an easy task to become a good illustrator, but it's less, it involves less life experience, let's put it this way. All it involves is you learning techniques and then mastering them and becoming really proficient at them. And then really great illustrators are those who also learn how to find the right subject matter, how to execute it in the right composition. So there's like the more layers you add, the better illustrator you become. And here is the exact point. You're learning those side subjects like composition. Obviously, it's a part of foundation, but rules of composition. But once you start mastering composition and look into like films, all the other art, really mastering the principles behind specific subject, then you start to realize how the rules are working, how you can conform those rules to the work you do, and then how you can break the rules to make something even more interesting, right? I've recently watched Sicario, and
it's a great one.
It's a good film, and it has its own problems, but one of the most impressive scenes in the film, without too many spoilers, is the border scene. It's like first half or maybe first 1/3 of a movie, and especially the violence part. And I've watched it. I loved it, but I didn't know why. I was just like, fuck, it's amazing. Like the tension, everything is amazing about it. And then yesterday, like last night, just randomly, when I was looking at YouTube, randomly I stumbled upon a dissection of that very part of the film. It's like someone was actually describing why it's so powerful. And he went through music, timing, rhythm, schemes, and like rules that were set up in the scenes and were repeating themselves. Everything, like breaking it down almost to every detail. And I was like scratching my head, like fuck. That was so well executed, right? Well, what made me, just watching that video and then having an experience of watching the film, and again being in that spot where I don't really fucking get it, right? But I know it's awesome. And then looking at how it's dissected by someone who understands film, right? So it's a person that clearly understands what they are talking, like points that this person was making about the scene. And I'm trying to sort of beat around the bush, so I'm not spoiling anything. His understanding was on point, basically, And I was watching it, it's like, fuck, this is really impressive. And then I started thinking about, the Mother project that we are going to do here and started doing here, and my own short film that I want to work on. And it was like this wrench that was just basically threw into the gears, and like, fuck, I just need to redo everything right now. Because I had like assumptions on how things are done, and it's like, this is going to look cool, this is going to look cool, this is going to look cool. But then there's so many layers to a film that make film look amazing. And it's not just visuals. That's my major gripe that I had when I was watching Macbeth. Macbeth was an amazing film. It's hard to watch because it's basically it's basically the novel. Oh, it's not even the novel. It's a drama, or however it's called. And it's the text. It's like the dialogues are basically the Shakespeare's text, right? So there's like you have to sort of like really focus to even understand what the fuck they are talking about, because it's really hard. But apart from that, I loved the movie. It was amazing cinematography, amazing colors, acting was great, music was wonderful, but the editing, in my opinion, sucked balls. And the reason was that it felt like almost every shot was so important that all of a sudden I lost interest. Like, which one is the more important shot here? I'm looking at a character from one camera angle, beautiful shot, and then it switches to a couple of times to different angles, which are, if you just take a screenshot, they look fucking amazing, but combined together is like, is it necessary? Like, I think that scene would work if the camera would stay in only one place for like 10 seconds. So yeah, so you learn those things from experiences you have. So coming back to illustration versus design, I think illustration is easier because there's way less experiences you have to have in order to be a good illustrator. To be a good designer, you have to live through the life by observing life and understanding how things work. And that's the thing you're just going to always learn over time. And coming back to original question, it's exactly that. Like, how do you solve problems? You just have to open your mind and be open to pretty much everything. So when you're an artist, don't just focus on art itself. Focus on everything, almost everything you can that is exciting to you. If you have curiosity, that's how you learn things and open up your mind to new avenues, and that will inform and allow you to solve those problems that you run into. If you're not curious, you're never gonna be there. It's always like, yeah, it's good. It kind of works. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it works. You're gonna be always in that sort of predicament, and most of us are. I was throughout like my career. I've been working in an industry for 13 years now, or 14 years, and first 10 years or 8 years of my work was basically being very oblivious about everything and sort of only thinking about art as an art, like concept art, concept wires, creating amazing environments meant that everything is going to be concepty, and going to be awesome, which might not necessarily be a thing. And that's like the first time I've learned that it's not important that one scene works. It's important that the whole experience is fun, and it relates to concept art as well. It was when I was working with Naughty Dog. When I was working with Bruce Straley, who was the game designer, or the not game designer, who was actually game director, and he was also an art director in the beginning on the project too. And the way we approached concepts, the way we talked about solving problems as we were facing them, and the idea that let's create a world that is believable, which means that your textures and lighting and structures, they're only gonna be impressive in the areas that are supposed to be impressive, and they're gonna be natural and normal everywhere else. So I've released quite a few concepts, right, for the game, but there was also like hundreds of sketches that I would never release because it's basically like few red lines on the screenshot. Like, you get a screenshot from the game and you just like draw arrows and say, this area sucks, fix it. You know what I mean? Like something that you would never release, like almost like notes. We've done a lot of those, and that was like one thing that kind of opened my mind and my eyes. Like, all right, concept art, it's not always about beautiful pictures, It's also about functionality of things. That's why it's called concept. You're concepting things. You're not illustrating things. If you want to illustrate, then you become an illustrator, which is a completely different job. So yeah, that was my experience. And it's, you know, you learn problem solving as you go, and it's usually coming from the experiences that you have and experiences of working with different individuals, whether it's in the studio or not, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would say
that's an awesome
that's an answer.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. That's a great answer. If you want to answer a couple questions,
Yeah, let's do
there's
this.
there's two of them. We might just be able to merge into one. I guess people are asking, um, when you personally are trying to develop a new habit, whatever that habit is, what are some of the techniques or things that you've discovered work for you? That's number one. And the number two, JR was asking, I believe it's JR, was asking if you could go a little more in detail in terms of your scheduling. Like, are you more like a list type of person, or do you actually go a little bit like Vitali, where you have like your whole day broken into like specific time blocks and so on and so forth? How much do you spend with the family? How much do you spend on yourself, on work? So habits, how do you develop habits? And I guess what's your schedule like?
So let me talk about habits first. Whoa.
Sorry about
Someone
that.
someone died there? What?
I just
The
bumped into something.
the fuck? Are you walking around as we're talking? Uh,
No.
actually, you know what?
That's awesome.
Because I tried to
I
be
need to get a soundboard too.
I tried to do a terrible joke, so it didn't work. So I had to add laughs because no one's laughing. Habits. I remember last year. So when I was doing, a lot of people remember that when I was doing the art habit thing. There is a lesson I've learned from doing it. It's kind of an important lesson that I've learned is you're never gonna build habit if you're not consistent and you're not excited. If you lose interest in something, um, you either have to power through, or you're gonna lose interest, and it's never going to become a habit. There's things where you have to power through to overcome, like maybe bad habits. Like let's say if you're drinking or smoking, that's going to be really hard habit to get rid of because it also has an element of addiction, right?
Yeah.
Um, but let's say you pick your nose, right? It's just something stupid as that. You pick your nose in public. Like you're only gonna develop the habit to not to do that if you really force and control yourself. Every time you're putting, maybe you stuck your finger in your ass first, and then and see if you want to pick your nose anytime soon. Um,
That's a good way to go about
that's
it.
it's an awesome advice. So
Great
I
tip.
didn't even know I can come up with an advice like that.
It's okay.
But consistency and I would also say resilience. So you have to sort of build that resilience and know that when things are sucking and like you really don't want to do that, just kind of have to power through and really force yourself to do that stuff. Because otherwise it's just gonna fall apart. Um, Another eye-opening about experience about habits was talking with people during the art cafe stream, where because
Mm.
he have been doing this personal art renderings for like last 7 years,
Yeah, seven
every
about.
every fucking day, whether he's sick, traveling, on vacation, every day a picture is released. Every
Yeah.
day. Like what the fuck, right? What's going on, man? but quickly I've learned that he's really, every time he does that, or most of the time he does that, he's excited about doing it because he's always learning new things and experiencing new things and, you know, learning new ideas and making things that he likes to make that are really genuinely cool for him. And he's, so yeah, he's excited. He does it consistently for long periods of time. And he said, like, yeah, I mean, sometimes I have to power through, and I power through, but that's the point. Like, those are the three ingredients that are really important. Now, one of the things that I've also learned when I was doing Art Habit was that I was really excited about it in the very beginning, but it quickly became this thing where, you know, I started with the idea that I only going to spend 20 minutes a day on this, 20-30 minutes. And a month in, I found myself, you know, drawing up until like 4 a.m., which was a bad idea because that's when I burned out and was like tired. I also had work and family and kid, you know, that kind of stuff. And when you burn out, I try to power through for like I think last 10 images I was trying to power through because I knew, like, yeah, I have to power through. It's, you know, it's if it truly is supposed to become a habit, I really have to work on it. But then, like, it really just became this, like, fuck. Yeah, now it's this time where I have to do this image again. And it's just like, at some point I was like, you know what? Fuck it, you know? Because it's not fun anymore. And, you know, I even gave myself like a short break. Like, I'm not going to do anything for a few days and then see if I can come back. And I came back. It was fun for one image. And then it wasn't fun for another image because I was falling into the same traps, like spending too much time. That's the problem. So not getting too overexcited, timing yourself, like being excited about doing something, and spending enough time in repetition, because otherwise you're not going to build a habit. It's going to be really difficult. And I've read this book that actually started the idea of, you know, working on the new habits and whatnot. I can't remember the book name. I was actually promoting it a while back. And I've learned quickly that the assumptions in this book are not working. You know, maybe they work for some, not for everyone. They definitely didn't work for me. So, because it was assuming like, oh, you need about 20, 30 days to build a habit, or like a couple of weeks. It's not true. You need a couple of months, if not a year. It wasn't Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog is awesome book, by the way. Compound Effect. There you go. Compound Effect is the book. Actually interesting things about the books. I would still argue read that book. It's really motivating. Some of the assumptions in the book are wrong, in my opinion. But so what I found also was kind of interesting is reading all those books in, you know, one after another. So Compound Effect. I've read Eat That Frog. I've read Good to Great, which I believe is one of the greatest books ever written. I'm reading Mastery, which is like second best book in my opinion. There's like a bunch of other books in there as well. All of them you have to take with a grain of salt, obviously, because all of them are assumptions of someone. The only book that is not based on assumptions, but it's based purely on data and nothing else, it just examines data and nothing else. It doesn't care about assumptions about, you know, you should do this because I think it's the right thing to do. It never goes that way. It's actually Good to Great, and I really, it is geared towards the companies. I agree, mostly towards the companies. But if you read it a couple of times, you can start to see parallels how this book can be used as a guide to your own life as well. How you are actually improving your own life as well, you know? So, and in terms of planning your day, and so I am a person, and I fail doing that many times as well, but I'm trying to keep it up as much as I can. And again, it's a matter of, you know, having a family. It's not making things easier for sure. But what I try to do is I try to plan my days in a way that everything is to the hour, you know, like
Okay.
from 8 till 10 I'm doing this, from 10 till 12 I'm doing you know what I mean, like it's all
Yeah.
planned out. If you only have one job, like if you're only working for one client, then you obviously block that time and you do it during that time, and then you have more flexibility of what else you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
now, whether you want to self-improve or just fuck around and play games, it's up to you. I'm not judging. Both ways are totally viable. um, but it probably in a situation where you really don't have that much going on in your life, you can still subject yourself to more strict planning, but you really don't
Yeah.
have to, right? But if you have more than one project going on, I really suggest plan your days and plan it in a way, like at least it works for me. I mean, it probably works differently for everyone, but for me, what works is knowing what I'm doing at a very specific time, knowing I have a meeting then, I have everything in my calendar. If something's about to happen, I'm gonna get a notification, and I know I'm preparing for this thing. So, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, if there's too many things going on, you can quickly and easily lose a grasp on things, and what happens is you start to forget and miss the calls and stuff like that, and that's the horrible thing that can happen to you. And I
Mm-hmm.
really, the last thing you want to do is miss like an important call with a client or
Yeah.
something. And I did that myself, being overworked and not having it
Mm-hmm.
in my calendar. And I was like, fuck. And I kind of said like, I had some
Mm-hmm.
family emergency.
The number one excuse. It was my kid. It was my
It
kid.
was all, it's all my kid. It's all because of my kid. Yeah.
Mm.
So you want to plan your days to avoid those situations as much as you can. Because there's nothing more unprofessional than missing a call or meeting. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just you're just wasting someone's time, and you don't really ever want to be in a place like that. So, yeah, for me personally, it's planning everything to an hour. So I have this stream that we're gonna end very shortly, actually, and then right after this, I'm gonna take a shit, and then
That's on the schedule too,
that's on the
right?
schedule too.
Okay.
My asshole lives by a calendar as well. Um,
I'm letting people know that they
yeah,
should actually put that in their calendars.
nah, I'm joking, obviously, but um, yeah, and I already have the rest of the day planned. Like I'm doing this from this point till that point. After that,
Hmm.
I'm doing this for next couple of hours, and then after that, I'm doing this for next another couple of hours. You know, and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. And that way, and one thing that I also do, which is something I've learned also over time, is you need to have like a buffer. Like put in
Uh-huh.
your calendar, put time that says doing absolutely nothing or buffer time or whatever, and make sure you have enough of it throughout a week, because some things are gonna go wrong, and then your schedule starts to overlap and you become really stressed out, and you don't want to ever be in that position either. So plan a buffer time. If you end up doing everything else quicker, then have a list of things that you want to do,
Hmm.
but are not necessarily the most important things to do. So if you have a passion project, that's maybe the time when you have that buffer time and you feel like you have a lot of energy and there's nothing else for you to do, then maybe do that.
Okay.
Or if you want to play video games, play video games, whatever that is. But if for whatever reason you're working on a project and and let's say things are not going right, and you're like, fuck, like I have to send an update to a client, but the work I'm doing looks like ass, what am I supposed to, like, you're never gonna send things that look like shit to your client. It's a little different when
Hmm.
you work in a studio, because you can still, I'm still working on it, like this is where it is and I'm still working on it. It's a little different for when you work in freelance. Like they expect you to deliver and you have to deliver. whatever that is. And you don't want to deliver shitty work either. So
Yeah.
so plan a time, because I think I mentioned this last stream as well. Like, you don't want to deliver shitty work. You want to deliver the best of the best. And it's just going to often happen that your work's going to be looking like shit, and you really want to have to put some extra hours to it. It means you're going to lose money, meaning like the time you're spending on it, it's not really being paid for.
Yeah.
But it also means you're not going to lose a client and actually build more trust with that client. So have that plan in your schedule as well, I would say.
Okay.
Say so.
How many more minutes do you think you can stay?
I think we can grab a few more questions, like maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
Okay, so I guess one question Dendratron has is just about, can you talk about like some of your positive or negative experiences when meeting deadlines? I don't know.
It's really broad. Positive and negative experiences when meeting deadlines. Well, one thing you always want to be sure, and that sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes you're gonna run into yourself into a project where, like, fuck, everything is so fast paced. Do what you know you can do. Like, don't like if you know you can. Let's say you're working on a project, right? And it turns out there's a lot of work. It's a lot more than you expected, and you're doing your best, right?
Yeah.
And you're still expected to do more. Like, pace yourself. Don't overkill yourself. You don't want to be putting yourself in a spot where you're working, say, 16 hours on a project that pays you only for 8. That's stupid. It's fine to have moments where time to time you're gonna put some extra hours to make things better. Maybe putting extra hour a day, that's reasonable. But considering the idea that you're really working hard and you're really putting every hour of the work into the work itself, but you're gonna run into, I had an experience like that where I run into clients that were trying to be abusive, and like the decision was, I just gonna do what I know I can do, and if that's not gonna be enough, then fuck it, because if someone is clearly trying to abuse you, you can always say, like, set expectations. If you're working with a client and they ask you how long it's gonna take you, don't overshoot and say, like, oh, I'm gonna have it like right now. No, set an expectation and say it's gonna take me about, and really think about how long it's gonna take you. I always set up expectations. I never ever agree anymore on having like a midday check-ins with clients anymore.
Okay.
I want to have a whole day before I send anything. Minimum of a whole day. I worked in a project where I had a Skype calls every 3 hours. Every fucking 3 hours, I had a Skype call as a check-in, like, how is it going? How is it going? And it was really fast-paced, and it wasn't like unreasonable. It was actually all right. I wasn't really complaining, but it was really stressful because on one run I had a lot of work done, and then next 3 hours I couldn't do shit, and it looked bad, And thankfully I was working with a person that understood that predicament, because that person was an art director actually, and a really good one. So that worked out pretty well, but I could clearly see this could go completely sideways with a client that doesn't know what the fuck he's like, how artists work, because like me as an artist, like throughout a day, I'm gonna put 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours into work. Now, out of those 12 hours, I'm gonna have really powerful 4 or 5 hours, and then another 2 is gonna be just shitty, and that's normal. That happens to everyone. If you can power through the whole day on 100%, fucking kudos to you, dude. I cannot do that personally. But you want to have expectations set. You don't want to. You don't want to have a situation where client is expecting more than you can deliver, because then you're gonna be stressed out. You're gonna start making mistakes, and things are just gonna go sideways real quick. So.
That's good advice right there.
Yeah.
So another question, G. Dilliard is just asking, how do you go about presenting your concepts to client? Do you just put together a multiple page PDF?
Nah, I send them usually as a separate files. That's just my preference.
Okay.
Unless I'm having like a whole week or a couple of days where I'm just doing really small sketches, like almost thumbnails or something like that. Then it's different, and you can put it in one page. But normally, if it's just a sketch or or a couple of ideas, I'm gonna put them separately because they can just cycle through. They can zoom in if they want to. They're separate files. They don't have if they want to send it to someone else later. They don't have the dilemma like, yeah, look at the image A on that sheet. Like, no, it's just like you send an image and this is the image that you're supposed to look at, So
yeah.
So that's what I do. That's what I do.
Okay. And I guess one last question. I find it interesting that Ash has this word he always uses, which is prolific. Like anytime you've heard Ash talk at a presentation or even just in conversations, like his favorite word is prolific. And anytime I listen to you, resilience. That's the word. If I were to calculate like one word that always comes up is resilience. And like I just want you to go even deeper if you can talk a little bit more about that.
I think it's just the I don't know. It must be character, or maybe the book that we've been reading. Ash always been saying about being prolific and because he is prolific, you know what I mean? He's always finding new avenues and always searching. He's always searching, and that's what's great. That's what pushing him towards becoming even better and better artist and director and whatnot. So for me, it's like I think it's a reflection of experiences, really, your life experiences, your perspective. I'm talking about resilience because I'm trying to be as resilient as I can. I'm also talking about resilience, I guess, because I'm reminding myself to be resilient in the moments where it's really difficult to be resilient, Sort of like empowering myself by just talking about it, just talking about the idea. And it might be completely subconscious because I don't even think about that aspect at all, So that's that, I think. I think that's the shortest possible answer to this question.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like anytime you say it, I'm
never
like
paid attention to it. That's kind of interesting for sure.
And it's funny. It's funny that you're actually giving the shortest answer, and I guess somewhere it makes sense to what I feel is perhaps one of the things that you connect to the most. At least one of the ideas you connect to the most. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's it for today.
Yeah, someone said the word that I say the most is potato. That's actually correct.
yeah, that's the second word though, right after resilience. Potato.
All right. Potato. All right. I'll tell you about origins of potato another time, because that's actually a pretty interesting one. It might be pretty offensive to some people too. We'll see. Maybe I'm gonna keep it to myself. We'll see. Anyways, let's wrap it up, guys. I'm gonna do homework reviews next week, I believe. I just got so much shit to do this week that I just really need to wrap it up. And I want to overshoot my time. So yeah, thanks guys for joining the stream. I'm actually planning to add. There's like an add-on. I can't remember what it was called, but it basically sends notifications on the screen and to me whenever you guys subscribe or resubscribe or shit like that. Because I really want to give you for everyone who does that. Give you guys a shout out because much love for doing that. And let's end this on. So obviously I've been exposing my new tunes and on the soundboard. So let's end it on a happy note and then wrap it up the stream.
Okay.
All right, guys. So I hope you had fun, and yeah, I will see you guys next week. I think Wednesday is when Ash has his stream. So see you guys on Wednesday on Ash's stream, and then on Thursday on my stream. So yeah, there we go. Hell yeah.
All right, ciao, people.
Yep. Bye-bye.